been waiting for. Feel the right in the world of tide for sure. Na 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 na. Got to get that feeling.
Hello, loves. It is me, Sunshine. I have another amazing guest because all my guests are amazing. A good friend of mine, and he is just pure love, pure light, and he channels amazing messages. So let's bring him on, Rob. Oh, he's black. There you are.
There you go. I don't know if it was all broken up. I didn't hear what you said, but thank you. Thank you. I'm sure it was beautiful.
Well, I just introduced you. Welcome
Hi, everyone.
to the Ripple Connection. So funny. Oh, we got a comment already. 2 of my favorite people. I'm guessing that's Carla. If you're in Goddess Love, my group, it's private, so we can't see your name. So, Rob, tell us.
Yes.
How you
got. All right. Where do we start?
You tell me. The show is about you and your journeys.
All right. Well, okay. So my journey has not been very long. Just let's put it that way.
Well, stretch it out. We have an hour.
Yeah, of course. It really started after my father passed away in 2011. Okay. Then I started hearing a lot of things and looking behind me, and as things in my life got a little more crazy, he was more and more there. And I finally realized at some point that it was him, giving me guidance. And then I started to have premonitions and dreams and things that I remember having as a child. And it got to the point where I had a waking dream, a premonition, however you refer to it. And I told my wife about it that morning. And then we got in the car and took a ride from Huntington to Massapequa. I dropped her off. I went to go pick up my mom. I picked up my mother, who has dementia, so I was going to just take her to the diner. And we were at a traffic light, and everything that had transpired in the dream started to unfold. And I was told in the dream that someone was trying to get in my car, and in the dream, I automatically locked the door. So I was sitting there, and the person was trying to get in the door of my car on Sunrise Highway in Massapequa Park, with my mother sitting there.
We're losing you, Rob.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
All right. And my first thing, I remembered lock the door, and then I locked the door, and then I started to drive as soon as I could, and then the guy followed me, and he was a crazy guy. He ended up taking off. He was on a motorcycle. I called the police. This is 10 o'clock in the morning, a beautiful, beautiful morning. And instead of going to the diner, I went back to where my wife was at her parents' house. And I said, remember that dream I told you about? And she's like, yes. And then I went through all the details, where I made the turn and all the different things, and how I was next to an L. I just remembered I was like in the dream, I was in Queens or Brooklyn driving along the L. Well, Sunrise Highway there's the railroad tracks. Right. So that was there. And that was just like, oh my God, what is going on? How do I, what is happening? And so I started to ask people, and I would talk to a friend of mine at work who I used to tell him about my experiences, and he would come back. After a while, he would come back to me and say, my wife is part of a group that gets together once a week or so, and they started to give me messages regarding what was going on in my life. And when it got to this point, about this premonition or dream that came true. I told my friend about it on a Monday. On a Wednesday night, he called me in the middle of dinner and said, "Remember what I told you about my wife?" I said, "Yeah." And her friends. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, she's the medium. And now she knows who's been coming to her to get to you.
Wow.
Your father's been talking to her." And it's just like, oh my God. Well, okay, tell me more. Tell me more. What book do I read? Just ask her to tell me what book to read, and then I'll
Yeah.
read the book and I'll know it all, and then that'll be it. Just tell me what book. And this went on for weeks. Please tell me what book. And I'm having more and different experiences. And then finally he said, she wants you to meet her over in Ronkonkoma on a Tuesday night with Reverend Norbert and Ellen and a group of people. And that's in 2015, late 2015, 2016. Or excuse me, late 2015, early 2016. That's when everything started to open up. Like then I started to sit, and first thing I learned about was Saint Germain, and I learned about meditation, and I knew nothing of this. I'm a
Yeah.
carpenter. I work with my hands. I didn't own any crystals. I didn't have any favorite rocks. I didn't have any sprays, no incense, nothing, none of that stuff. The last, a lot of people are like, you're the last person we think is a medium. That's what I hear a lot. But and I was not. Yeah, I was brought up a Roman Catholic.
Right.
I was an
Yeah.
altar boy, the whole bit. So I didn't understand or this stuff. But the first thing I learned was about the violet flame and the use of the violet and transmutation. So I understood that pretty well. And with each weekly meditation that we had participated in, I really felt better, and I felt better, and I felt better. And once I could remember these meditations, then I was able to do them myself. And I would, like clockwork, every morning go down in the basement where it was below ground. I wanted to be grounded, barefoot, feet on the cement, and just go through the meditations that I had learned and recite the violet flame meditations and things like that. And I always felt better. And it just kept opening up, more and more things. And I had more and more realizations. And I was able to get rid of all of that baggage that I was carrying with me my whole life.
Yeah.
All those things that you said, boy, I wish I never said that. Or, boy, I wish I didn't do that. Or, I should have made a left instead of a right. All the things that you carry that start to really get heavy, we take that file cabinet full of all those crappy experiences with
Yeah.
us from year to year to year. New Year's, okay, pack up the file cabinet, got to take it to the desk. And I realized that is the worst thing you can do, is to just keep loading yourself up with all these regrets, shoulda, woulda, couldas. I'm sorry I said that, or all of those things, and then you, little by little, you start to look at each relationship in your life, and you start to remember certain things, and they almost come up in groups.
Yeah.
Like a segment of your life. I remember when I was 12, I went to junior high school, or and then you remember those interactions, and some of them you didn't feel comfortable with. You're like, boy, I wish that went a different way. Or you felt less than, right? Especially when you go to new schools and things, and you go, like, even you go to the ninth grade from elementary or junior high to high school. It's all those older people.
No.
Like,
I went to three different high schools in 11th grade. So I know. And we're going to ask Spirit for good connection, good Wi-Fi. Spirit, help Rob's Wi-Fi. It's a hard transition when you're going into different schools and different ages, and being tormented, being the different child. Rob, why don't you get out and come back in? Oh, there he is. He's coming. I hear you.
Yeah. I
There
can
you
see
are.
you.
You're good.
I
We have to ask Spirit for help to connect the Wi-Fi.
can see me on this. I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi and see what happens. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's such a learning process when you first start getting
Any
messages
better?
and what.
How about now?
Yes, I see you. I hear you. Yes. How about you?
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. So
Forget the
start.
Wi-Fi. Let's just with Verizon. Okay.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd rely on them. Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. So that began the whole process. And once I started to unload all of these things, then I was having greater and greater experiences. My meditations became deeper and more fulfilling, and then people started coming to me, and it was interesting, and I didn't know what to do with it. Um, and then I realized I shouldn't start jumping into rabbit holes. When you're on this journey, there's a lot of different directions you can go in. you know, and I didn't want to go in the religious directions and start deciphering, ancient texts and all these things. And thankfully, because it's very easy to do, and they grab you like a good book.
Right.
Um, but I did my best to stay out of the rabbit holes, always stay out of the rabbit holes, and Saint Germain was the best guide I could have had. Now I can say that. I didn't realize it, but really at this
Right.
point, yeah,
He's
definitely.
my
He's the
main
one.
man
Yeah,
too.
he brought me to where I am now, and now we chat quite often.
Yeah.
So, and then I met Reverend Lynn Laborde, I think around 2017, um, through David Young and Ellen and all the groups of people that we all
Right. Right.
we
Right.
hang out with, and Lynn introduced me to a channeling class in January of 2019, and it was me and 8 women. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, I was getting used to it at this point because I was
Right.
going to
Right.
two,
Right.
three,
Right.
at least once, twice a week. I was going somewhere to get in the energy of everybody who's doing this, light bringers.
Yes.
Um, and I took this class, and I didn't even know who my spirit guide was. This woman, Wendy Gale, lovely Wendy, said, you have to know who your spirit guide is before you can take this class. And I said, well, I don't know who my spirit guide is. You know, I said I never wanted to assign any one person or genre. Like,
Right.
it could be Jesus, whoever it could be, anybody, a thousand names. I
Right.
just wanted to stay neutral and just see what came in. So she went into a trance, or she was a trance channel. And then Metatron said, your guide, your spirit guide is Osiris. And I'm like,
Okay.
okay, Osiris. I know he's Greek, right? I mean, ancient Egyptian. I don't know anything about him, but okay, let's do this class. And we did this wonderful, wonderful class. And our homework was to write messages for everyone else in the room. And I never channeled a message for anyone and wrote it down.
Right.
And then that night, my sons took me out for my birthday, and we went to the Nassau Coliseum for men, meat, and monster trucks. So I went out, had fun, drinking beer, eating meat, the whole bit. Get home like midnight, like, okay, now I got to do this homework. You know what I'm saying? Oh boy. So I got started on it. And then I said, what? I'm better off getting up in the morning and doing this. And I got a bunch of messages, and they all came in rhyming prose. And they weren't very long, couple of sentences, maybe 2 or 3, maybe a paragraph. But they all rhymed. And I thought, boy, that's so weird. I don't write poetry. This is not me. These are not my words. I knew it wasn't me, but
Yeah.
when it rhymes, it's easy to remember. So I realized later that was their way of breaking the ice. By giving it to me that way, it was easier for me to remember and then trust it and write it down versus just one big long sentence like I would get now. Um, and that was the first experience. And then I brought those in that Sunday morning, and we shared them with each other. And I knew things about people that I should have never known. You know what I'm saying? Like I,
Yeah.
I had said to this woman, she was sick, and don't worry, they found no leak. You're fine. And I forget the exact message, but earlier that week, she had to go for an MRI because they thought she'd had an aneurysm. And
Wow.
I knew nothing about it, but it was in rhyming prose. It said, you're fine. You have they found no leak. And I'm like, wow, what does that mean? I guess I'll have to put those in the book with their permission, of course. Um, but that's how it started. And from there, all the messages after that class just opened me real wide. Started in rhymes. And then I realized, well, wait a second. If Saint Germain's been my buddy in this for so long, right? And an aspect of Saint Germain is William Shakespeare.
Right.
And it made sense because every time I read these messages, people said, this sounds like Shakespeare. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It was wild. Yeah. And then a few weeks later, I got married on Valentine's Day. So I normally buy like one happy anniversary card, one Valentine's card. And that year, I just bought a blank card in 2019. And it was blank. I said, I'm going to write a message in it because I'm getting good at writing now, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a few weeks later, and I realized I'm walking out the door to go to work, and I got this blank card for Valentine's Day. And I'm like, all right, Saint Germain, help me out. Give me something in here, give me something to write. And I just heard, my heart is but an oyster, and you are the pearl that lies within.
Aww.
I'm like, that's awesome. I would have never thought of that. I'm like, thank you, Saint Germain. Thank you, Shakespeare. Thank you, everybody.
Right.
And that was enough to create the trust to keep going and know that, wait a second, they're there. You can really talk to them.
Oh yeah.
And the meditations, they never got any longer. They're always about a half hour to an hour in the morning, and I do some prayers, and I get myself calm, because I've always been very high strung. So it's for people to see me, in this position is different. They're not used to this, Rob. But it's wild and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And it just took off from there. I started channeling messages, once a week, once every couple of weeks. I think my first journal, I started it in June of 2019, and it took me all the way through to like December, about 60 or 70 messages. But they were wild. They were profound. They were things I would never have known about. And the energies that come in, it's, like angelics, galactics, energetics, etheric energies. It's just, but they just show up. Yeah. And I realized I would always ask Osiris, okay, Osiris, who's here to talk today? Who has a message for me today? And I would put a question mark. And then sometimes that energy would just introduce themselves, or through my guide, they would announce who is there, and then I would hear the words opening statement, and I would just write OS, and then it would just start. And the messages, and in the beginning, I wasn't finishing some of them. I kind of lose that connection. So I had built up a repertoire of a bunch that weren't finished. And then that was June, July, and then by the fall, I don't remember which angel it was or energy, but they said, you have to finish the messages. You can't leave any message unfinished. And I asked, how do I do that? And they said, well, think of it like a videotape, and you just wind back to the place where you were, and it'll just start right where it left off. Just get just find that place. So then I learned to read the message, do my meditation, read that message that was incomplete, and I would get the next words and the next sentences. And sometimes I would add a few more paragraphs, and then it would stop again. But then after about a year, I said, I cannot leave any of those unfinished messages. And I went back and made sure that each one got completed. And I wrote the date. So eventually when they're published, you'll see that it was written in 2019, 2020, and 2021.
Yeah.
It came in. But that proved to me that, yes, you can do this. There's nothing. I mean, if we trust the guidance, they never, ever steer us wrong, ever, and it just went from there. And I'm blown away by some of this. Like one day I got a message from the little ones, and I didn't know who the little ones were. I could, think of the little, elves in the tree, the Keepler elves, that's all I could think of. And then I got a message that said that what I'm doing, actually prior to that, it said, you inspire the little ones. And I didn't know what that was. And then a week or two later, then it came in that the little ones came to me and shared all of this information with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had, you start from nowhere in this. And then like within 5 years, it's like, where's all this coming from? And how come we never knew about this before, And it's just so beautiful. And there's just so much love in it. Every message is just bursting with love.
It
You know,
certainly
so
is. Yeah.
so if it's not of love, if you don't feel that, then turn it off. Say, sorry, you got the wrong number. You're in control. You learn this early on, that we control the whole conversation, right? Early on, they told me, if you don't feel that an energy is right, ask them 3 times to say their name or announce themselves. And they're not able to say the same question 3 times the same way. If they cannot answer a question the same way 3 times, tell them to leave, because
Right.
they're not who they purport to be. And I didn't have a lot of fear. I didn't, we're taught a lot about protection. And every, burn this, do that, spin around 16 times, do all these different things to protect yourself, Everybody's got their own thing. But
Yeah.
what I had learned was, you are protected. If you accept the fact that you are a divine being of light, then nothing can hurt you.
Right.
You are the shield. They're
Right.
going to run from the light.
Yeah.
And then the messages always kept saying a beacon, a lighthouse. So, and you're drawing people in. You're not seeing people run away. You know what I mean? Like that often. And it really started to change my relationship with my family in a good way. At work, in a phenomenal way. Some of my friends went the other way. You know what I mean? But some of them came to me and embraced it. And, they don't, like, I don't understand these are guys, mostly. I don't understand it, but could you explain it?
Yeah.
What are they saying? And there's so many meanings in each of our messages, and so many metaphors. So it's, it's just ever expanding. You can take so much from anything that you, I, or anyone else transcribe, channel, bring through, mediate. Right. Excuse me. And there's just no limit. There's just no limit.
No limit. We have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you figure out who your spirit guide is?
Well, like I said, I didn't know. So somebody told me.
Okay.
So somebody told me. But then once Osiris showed up, and I was always having the conversation, trusting in Osiris. And like I said, sometimes that energy would just introduce itself. Osiris didn't even say, "Oh, Jesus is here to talk to you."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, it used to be Jesus is on the line, or someone's on the line. And in the beginning, if you remember the show MASH with Radar O'Reilly,
yes,
and he used to plug in all the wires, right, to connect the people.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt like. I would ask Osiris, okay, who's here to talk? And I would imagine this like he's plugging in wires trying to connect me. And sometimes one energy would step over the next, and then I would mention, well, they're all lined up to talk to you. And they'd always thank me for the opportunity to communicate. But sometimes they start with one energy, and then another one it still happens to this day. Last week, I started with Alcazar, and then Cryon stepped in, and and I'm like, boy, the energy changed, but the message still flowed. And then it went back to Alcazar at the end, and it said, I and we are glad to have this opportunity. So then I'm like, okay, so there was 2 energies there.
Right.
And it's just we, okay, it wasn't just one. So it's not just me, You do a lot of, is that me?
Yeah. But for Penny, you can pray and you can go into a meditation and ask.
Absolutely.
Right? Ask, who is my spirit guide? Tell me your name. And I have a lot too. I have a lot of different entities coming in also, but my main man is Saint Germain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's beautiful. Are you all plugged in now?
Yeah, I'm plugging in. The battery's going weak here. We got to reorientate everything because the wire's not going to make it over there. There we go. All right.
It's
Can you hear me now?
Good. It's all good.
Yeah. So, and Saint Germain, he didn't even come in right away, like with direct messages. The Galactic Federation came in, the Council of Nine, all of this. I'm like Ashtar. When the Octurians the Octurians showed up, I was blown away. I'm like, who are they? Well,
and then explain who they are to our listeners.
Okay, so we, from my understanding and my interpretation of what we learned, we come from the seven sisters. Humanity in its conscious form that we are in currently right now come from the Pleiades star system. Okay? The Pleiades star system was seeded by the Arcturian star system. So there are more distant relatives. So that's how I understand it to be. And you know, and that opens up the whole galactic aspect, separate from the Saint Germain, Jesus, Mary, Gabriel, the angels. You know, there's, like I said, there's so many different directions to go in modalities. You know, but that, so then they came to me a few times, and then Sandy Granada said, you know, they want to talk to you and like they want you to put this stuff out, but it wasn't one that like I wanted to go back into. There were so many others, so I might have a few more messages. Maybe there's a half a dozen total, but it just wasn't resonating with me the way some of the other ones do. Or whoever's at the door. I mean, they come when I'm in that place in the morning. It's like, okay, who's there? And they just, you know, like, okay, everybody wants to talk, you know. and I'll take 1, 2, sometimes 3 messages if I have enough time. I'll just, you know, okay, who's next? Who's next? And then you realize once you start to channel all this other energy that you can channel your loved ones that have passed on, your friends, other people's families. So I've done the live, you know, worked on practical mediumship, live stuff, doing readings, but I am most comfortable just writing things. So people come to me and say, do you have a message from my mother or my brother or, you know, whoever it is? I said, give me a few days and tell me a little something about them, just their name, and, you know, just give me something so this way I can find that channel, you know, like a barcode.
Yeah.
And most times I'm able to get a message that I don't even know what it's about, but I'm able to deliver it to that person. And 99% of the time they take it, they accept it, you know, and they go with it, you know. And I love doing it because I see the difference in the people. I can see how it gives them a healing. Only once did a woman, absolutely not, because it said in the message, during my time of incarceration, and she said, he's never been in jail. He's not. I'm like, look, I just write what I hear, you know?
Yeah.
I said, I'm sorry. I said, well, when's the last time you saw your ex-husband? She's like, oh, it was 20-something years ago, and he lives in the Caribbean. Said, okay. Well, she called me back a few days later and said, oh, I looked into it, and yes, he did spend some time, you know? Like, well, I would never put that in there.
Right. Well, because it's not you who's putting it in there, right?
Right. And when I'm writing, I'm not there. I step aside like we always do. I just step aside. And if I feel that the connection is fading out, I'll put a ground symbol on the page, or I'll just say, speak louder, or say it again. Say it again. And they do. They always oblige. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about the trust. Trust it. And like a lot of us in this journey in the beginning, 111, 1111, 222, you know, license plate, all these things. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And that's all part of this. All of that is part of the ascension process. So whether you like it or not, we're all ascending. It's how fast do you want to go? Do you want to recognize it and inquire, or do you just want to wait till it's in your face? And one of the early messages was very simple. Inquiry is the switch and silence is the key. So inquire. So a lot of my more recent messages that I'll post, it'll be, dear spirit, please tell me what it is I need to know. And it's not necessarily God or Jesus. You never know who's going to show up. I open the door.
I call them my loves. I call them my loves. I say, okay, loves.
and one of the most profound, like the one that really rattled me out of all of them, well, there's two, but was the first one was the white robe. Who's the white robe? You could only imagine what the white, and I was told by another energy the day before, the white robe wants to talk to you. And I'm like, who's the white robe? I was kind of like nervous. So then the next morning I pulled up, you know, I said, okay, well, tell me what it's, you know, tell me what you want to tell me, you know. And the white robe came in, and we've had some really, really cool interactions, you know, and messages. So I'm looking for one I want to share with you at some point.
We have another question. Does everyone have a spirit guide?
Absolutely. We have multiple spirit guides, from what I understand. I've heard at least three. We have at least three that we're born with.
Right.
And we can have guides that come and go throughout our life based on specific lessons that we need to learn or relearn or re-experience to have a different outcome. So, and that's all part of our pre-birth contract. We have all this energy or our soul family around us, and we all make agreements that, you know, we're going to help each other through this, and the potentials to meet you in Paris under the Eiffel Tower and by accident one day is going to happen here, and I'm going to bump into you in a supermarket, and we're not going to know each other, but we're going to know it like we're going to feel like we knew each other our whole lives.
Yeah.
And everybody has that experience, right? Where you meet someone and you feel like you've known them your whole life. And that's because they're part of your soul group, your soul family. It might not mean that you're ever going to have a relationship or interact any more than that quick hi and goodbye. But it's there. It was meant to be. It was in the cards. It was the potentials. It's within the Matrix, right? And I never saw the movie The Matrix until a few years ago because I kept hearing it, and it made a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Even Star Wars. I was not I grew up in the 70s, right? In the 80s. I didn't watch Star Wars. I didn't watch Battlestar Galactica. Star Trek, I'd go in the other room and my older brother would watch that. I couldn't stand that stuff. To me, that was the most nonsense there ever. I couldn't go near that stuff. And then when I heard someone channeling, I don't know what spirit they were channeling, but the channel kept saying George got it right because they were asking about those movies. George got it right. And they were talking about George Lucas. And I said, wow, I guess it's time for me to go rent Star Wars and watch it. And it was hard to find the original Star Wars. I had to go to the library a couple of times with my granddaughter and, you know, like try and find it. It was tough because they renamed it. It no longer is Star Wars. It has a new package. So it has a different name, you know. And so I watched that and I'm like, okay, so if this is part of, you know, of course it's Hollywood, you know, there was some, you don't realize how bad the special effects are from when we were kids to now. Like, wow, that was that was like cardboard, you know? But you see it, you're like, wow, but it's always been there for all of us. And for me, I love history, and I've always been a history buff. So for me to look at the stuff that's in Australia, in Uluru, or the Easter Island, the Rapa Nui, you know, the giant heads, the Moai. I mean, that stuff to me always intrigued me, even before I was on this path. You know, so now it makes sense when there's 45,000 years worth of carvings in the walls. In Australia that tell us man's history. The Seven Sisters, we came from that. Easter Island, the same thing. Peru, the same thing. New Zealand. And the tribes of New Zealand had no interaction with the Australian tribes. It's really, they had very different, you know, societies that did not blend with each other until the last few hundred years. And they all tell the same story. So it made so much sense. So realizing that our religious figures are really just angelics or galactics trying to get through to us differently. You know, in a softer way to teach us the lessons, right? Yeshua ben Joseph came down to teach us the lessons of divinity within, right? God loves all. We're all God's children. There is no judgment, you know. There's no church needed. There's no hierarchy. We're all equal in this. And that's the biggest lesson that any one of us can take from any of these channels, seances, channeled message. It doesn't matter. They're always saying we're all equal. And after a while, I was introduced to oneness, the concept of oneness. And when I write in the morning or whenever, if they make me capitalize certain things. You'll read messages and there'll be capitals, and it's always there. If I don't capitalize it, they'll make me go back and capitalize those certain words. So that this way, if you don't read anything else, you got truth, you got divinity, you got oneness. You know, you've got soul is always, and humanity is always with a capital H. Very rarely, because that's how much we are respected, revered, and loved by those on the other side who are supporting us. We jumped into this. We come in with amnesia, right? We're born with amnesia. And it's up to us to figure out this game without dying first. That's how you win the game of life.
Yeah.
So the near-death experience tells it all the time, right?
Yeah.
You always hear the person gets to the gate, to the bridge, they meet their father, their mother, Peter, whoever they expect to meet at that bridge, they meet, right? And then from there, they're all told the same thing. It's not your time. You got to go back,
Yeah.
right? And they all come back, and some of them have the great epiphanies, and they have all these new skills, and they can play the piano and write concert music and paint and do the most, like all of these unbelievably deeply artistic or things. And that's because, in my opinion, my understanding, again, this is mine, and I don't want to
Right.
paint everybody with the same. Those were experiences, abilities we had in our most previous or predominant lifetimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe you were a concert pianist in the 1860s and you learned Beethoven or whatever the dates are. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, so maybe that's what you focused on then. And now all of a sudden, when you got there and you realize that, wait, there's so much more to this, and I'm going to get sent back because I have more lessons to learn and I have more people to help. It's
Right.
not always about just you,
Yeah.
there's service to others, service to self, and the neutral, and
Yeah.
just to remain neutral and just to be here. And there's no judgment in any of those. That's the whole point, right? This is a
Beautiful.
judgment-free zone,
Yes.
and that's what we've been trained out of. Our programming from the time we were little children, right,
Yeah.
has told us an awful lot of stuff that, boy, it's taking us years and years to unravel, and lots of therapy and addictions and healings, and you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
groups and meetings and all that stuff. Everybody's different, of course. I'm not lumping everybody into one basket, but that's what it's all about right now. It's about unraveling, cleaning out all of the cookies in the computer, getting rid of all the stuff that doesn't serve us, including the indoctrination that we were put through. For many of us, especially here, if you grew up on Long Island or in New York or in the tri-state or in the South with the Bible Belt, we were very much immersed
Everywhere. Everybody has
everywhere.
had trauma, right?
Right. Oh, okay? We'll call it trauma.
Yeah. Because that's what it is. If whether it's big or small, it's still
Right.
trauma.
Right. And for me, my biggest thing was to get past the religious aspect that I was brought up in.
Yeah.
And, you can't, that's tough to talk about. My parents were both ministers, and my sisters are devout, and, they go to church every Sunday. And boy, when I would start giving them these messages, they didn't want to hear it. Like, you're crazy. You're not. Some of them, I have 6 sisters and 3 brothers.
Wow.
So the majority, and all of us in 12 years, we're a very close family. So,
I saw
there's
the
nothing.
picture. You just had a reunion this week?
Yeah, it was our annual family picnic. It was
Okay.
two Sundays ago. Yeah, we do that every year. I grew up with family picnic. We always used to do one, and then it was always put on by the great aunts and the great uncles, and then the aunts and uncles. And now, it's our turn. So for the last bunch of years, it's been me or my sisters and brothers, and and we always do it. And we have a lot of cousins, all first cousins, lots of first cousins and lots of second cousins, and that's not all of them. There's a good chunk missing. You could have easily had another 30, 40 people there.
Wow.
But, kids are away at college. I have family that live in Hawaii and California, so those who could make it, made it. And it was huge. It was a really huge energy day to just be with your family, especially after all that we've all had to go through for the last 2 years, So to see everybody and know we didn't lose anybody, was a big thing too,
Yeah.
And nobody was asked to wear a mask. Nobody was like worried about masks. So that was a good thing, At least everybody's at ease now, at least in that group that was there.
And the ones that are there accepted you as who you are.
A lot of my cousins' wives will come and talk to me because they see all my stuff, but my cousins run the other way, and all guys, it all depends. Like, people I would never expect to come up to me during these family events will pull me aside and want to talk to me about stuff, and I love it because at least I know they're reading this stuff, or at least it's ringing a bell somewhere along the line, or they wouldn't be asking me. They'd be just running the other way. You're crazy, You know, I had one cousin, oh, geez, she's talking to you about that stuff again. He went the other way. You know,
Yeah.
My cousin Rob. You
Right.
know, yeah.
I actually,
You know it.
I got blocked by a couple of my family members. But I actually recently, one of my cousins died, and we went and had a celebration at my aunt's
Uh-huh.
house. And everybody obviously was in a lower vibration and sad. And I walked in, and again, it was supposed to be a celebration. So the whole drive there, I was saying, I am the violet flame, I am the love goddess, and I
Yeah,
walked in,
yeah.
and everybody was like, came up to me, and actually a couple of people asked for my card
Really?
during the celebration. And it was nice because I haven't seen everybody in almost 3 years, but it was nice to reconnect, and the ones that are open to who I am is wonderful. And the ones that aren't, I just sent them love. That's
That's all
all
you
you
can do.
do.
That's
Yeah.
all we could do. We have to stay neutral like a tree,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's tough. We were not born and raised to stay neutral. If you grew up in a big family, you had to pick a side, or, say, if you didn't reach in and get your food, you're going to miss out. You had
Yeah.
to be
Yeah. Yeah.
aggressive. You have to do it. You have to. So it's tough to kind of stay back. And me being the personality that I am, it's a long, hard, not a long, hard road, but it's a lesson learned every day.
Right.
Today I
Right.
made the commitment, that you ever heard the change your bracelet motto, where, if you
No.
say something or you have a thought in your head that's, like you want to make that comment, or you want to, get angry at something, you recognize, and as soon as you recognize it, before you release those words, you change your bracelet. And the
Okay.
trick is, and then you try and keep count of how many times you change your bracelet during the day. So, and you want to, and then if you can get through a whole day without ever moving your bracelet, you're really doing good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so that was taught to me by a group, a woman, Marilyn Harper. And
Nice.
she always change your bracelet, change your bracelet. And
Yeah.
today I realized I didn't bring any bracelets with me to work. And it was a super, super stressful day. And I did have my crystal. I had a crystal in my pocket the whole day. And I didn't even, you realize at the end of the day, I wasn't breathing right. I should have held on to my crystal. I should have had some bracelets with me to occupy my time. And
Yeah.
it probably would have went so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, it ended good because at the end of the day, I just poured violet on the whole day.
Yeah.
On every comment, I'm like, just cover everything in violet, cancel, clear, delete, transmute all of this stuff, and let's start tomorrow all over again. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of transmutation. You
Yeah.
don't have to carry this stuff. And it's not like you're just deleting them in your computer and compressing it and compressing it and compressing it. Because that's all you do in a computer. When you delete something, it's compressing.
But
When
now
you transmute it, you clear it all out.
And now you
clear it
can
all out.
start your day with the violet flame.
Oh yeah, yeah. So and
Start
that's
your
funny because
day
when I
that
got
way, and that way you don't need any bracelets. You start your day transmuted and just full of love, and you stay neutral that way.
yes, but some of us might need that little reminder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I work. I'm in. I'm a carpenter. I work in construction.
Right.
Like by the end of the day today, I wanted to strangle a lot of guys. So it was like and that's I got home and I'm like, okay, nobody's home. I didn't get up early enough this morning to prepare, and meditate. So I was
Right.
thinking about it all day, and I wanted to leave work early. I knew nobody would be home. Let me just come and get into that place so we can have this beautiful session tonight. And I got home. I did everything I had to do. Okay, let me go down the basement, get myself set up, right? And I went right to Saint Germain. And I sat on the staircase, which I don't do anymore, like I used to do in the beginning. I said, this is where I need to be because I've gotten so out of balance in the last few days. It seemed like it was ramping up
Yeah,
based
yeah.
on the energies that's going. And 5 minutes, I was there. I had my ankh that I used to hold all the time, and I went through the meditation at Saint Germain, and man, I popped up. The phone rang, and I thought I better answer that. I was waiting for a call, and I got up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay. Then my granddaughters came over from next door, and they're 4 and 5, and
Yeah.
they locked themselves in the garden. They couldn't get out, and I heard them, Grandpa, Grandpa, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do I got to get ready for tonight, you know. And I said, you know what? Let me get them out of the garden. And then they only found 2 tomatoes. There were two little tomatoes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and my one granddaughter Audrey, she was gonna hold both of them. She was gonna eat both of them. And Gracie wanted some. So I said, come on, we'll go on the other side. We got
Right.
more little tomatoes, and we went over there, and they were reaching down, picking tomatoes, and we had a big pile on the table. And I realized, you know, this is what it's all about. There's no preparation needed. I'm already living
Exactly.
it. We're
Yeah.
already living it. I'm here working with Gaia, and I was thanking the tomato plants and thanking them for all these tomatoes. They couldn't put them in their mouth fast enough, you know. And I said, that's the best prep I could have had tonight, was
Yeah.
to go to the innocence,
Yeah.
forget everything that went on. They're here. They're full of love. There's no judgment. There's no nothing. They just want to play. They want to tumble around. They want to eat stuff out of the garden, and that's what it's all about.
Yes.
And I'm glad that I got that reminder today, because
Yeah.
I was clearly going in the other direction. You know, I was getting in the mind. You know,
Yeah.
that monkey mind that they talk
Monkey
about.
mind.
So
Somebody,
it's
Jill said, if you forget your bracelets at work, put on rubber bands.
oh yeah. I put on the yellow organic ones from Whole
Oh,
Foods.
okay. Yeah. So
And my
funny.
wife's like, "What are you doing with those?" I don't tell her. She
So
just knows. She just thinks I'm out there.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So if you're ready, I pulled up a message from Saint Germain.
Okay,
This
yes.
is from December 7th of last year, 2021. And again, messages, because there's no such thing as time on the other side of the veil. So it could be a 10-year-old message, and it's most times it's something in that is going to resonate with the person who's reading it. It's
Right.
not time. Very rarely are they time specific. You understand, right?
Yeah.
So this particular message, and it's funny because I just pulled this up without reading it, and it goes right back to what we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
And this day, this is later on in my journey, so I don't have to ask Osiris. This day, I wanted to talk to Saint Germain, so I said, Saint Germain, do you have a message for me today? Greetings, Brother Robert, and thank you for this invitation to speak with you. My words to you are this: please continue to complete your transcriptions and share all that you can. Humanity needs all the support and guidance it can get. They can get at this time. Great is the shift, and as more things are revealed, even greater energies will come to the surface for release. So much of what has been hidden is coming to light, and no longer will those who cloak themselves in darkness remain hidden. As the light comes to bear on those who desperately want to remain anonymous, great disruptions will occur as the attention begins to focus on them. So it is wise to be prepared and remain neutral as things are exposed that raise the ire of so many. Remember that this is all an experience and nothing more. So it is wise for each and every soul upon Gaia to release what does not serve them in the human experience and plan for an even greater opportunity to live in peace and harmony with no black cloud hanging over your head. As you are aware and quite familiar with the power and might of the violet consuming flame to transmute and restore all of creation to its original godlike intent. Never has there been an opportunity to transform such as this, and great are the legions of light here to assist in the ascension and transformation. With great excitement, we wait for the conversion of all souls who firmly choose the light and leave the darkness behind. So, as your time seemingly speeds up, know that things are unfolding quite rapidly, and the return to oneness is occurring piece by piece as humanity wakes up to the realization of the divinity that is each and every soul upon Gaia. Continue to share in the excitement of the new age and expect the most benevolent outcome with every thought stream and scenario. We, the brotherhood and sisterhood, are with you all as things progress. So again, be not concerned, but only excited for your creation. It will be realized as you continue into a fresh new paradigm without the chaos and drama that has been your experience thus far. Enjoy the day and every day as we continue to promote the light and utilize the violet on everything that is not commensurate with your divinity. Farewell for now, your brother, Saint Germain. So
Beautiful.
that touched on so many things that we discussed, and I just, out of the dozens that are there, that was the one I just happened to click on, and I was looking for an old one, and I'm like, oh, whatever, and I'm like, but no such thing as coincidence, right? It was
no such thing.
That pretty much, I hope, you can all resonate with that or take something from it, but it really talked about all the things that we just talked about. I talked about. You got to be careful to just give me an open mic. I can go for a while. So,
it's all good. It's all about you and your messages.
But I just and I'll have to send this over to you, and you can share it with the group.
Okay.
I see I have to do a little editing. There's a couple of misspellings and stuff, but I'll fix those before I shoot it over.
No judgment. No judgment.
No. And that's it. Like, I used to beat myself up if I would try and put out a message a day, and I was able to. I had the opportunity to for a while, and I realized there'd be one misspelled thing, and I'd have to go into Facebook and fix it on every page because I didn't read it right. And I'm like, oh my God. Well, people would correct me and with the punctuation, and I'm like, when I get messages, I don't get punctuation.
Exactly.
So I do my best. I do my best to try and get the cadence of the message, because it's not just one long running sentence, and I have to break them down. You have to put punctuation. You have to put a paragraph every once in a while. So I do my best. So please forgive me if there's a misspelling or I have too many commas. But it's just because there's so many pauses sometimes in the message, and I'm doing my best.
And you know what? It's about the message. It's not about your
grammar. And talking about the dates, I mentioned the date. I posted a message last week, and the person commented on it on one of the sites and said, "Why don't you put your dates at the top of the page so I'm not reading a 10-year-old message?" And I thought about it. I was going to respond, and I'm like, and I thought about it, and I said, let it go. And I came back, and then I said, thank you for reading the messages. Please understand that when the messages come in, they come in. But I'm not always guided to post them right away. Sometimes I have to hold them, and then I'll go back and I'll say, okay, it's time to put this message out. Because maybe the energy of the group, the collective, is not ready for it, en masse. So I trust guidance. I put them out when I have to, but most of the times, if it came in today, I'll put it out today if I can get, a chance to type it out. But sometimes I have to wait. And sometimes, like this one, it doesn't matter. It is the whole synopsis. This talks about everything.
Yeah.
Right.
It's timeless. Right. It's the message that we all need to hear at any time. Yeah.
And what I noticed now, if you know of Saint Germain and you learned about Saint Germain, I guess from Guy Ballard and the teachings of the Summit Lighthouse, you're familiar with them?
Of course, yeah.
Right. So they're the main, the original promoters of the Saint Germain work, right? And I listened to, I read some of the books, and early on, Norbert gave me them to understand Saint Germain. And then in all those books, they are referred to as the Great White Brotherhood, right? And as I was writing messages, and I said, that's a tough name to use nowadays. You know what I'm saying? It has such a different connotation than it did 150 years ago.
Right.
Right. So they started and they changed it. And in my messages, they no longer refer to themselves as the Great White Brotherhood. They refer to themselves as the Brotherhood and Sisterhood of Man. So
Okay.
in this message, I saw it said, "We, the Brotherhood / Sisterhood, are with you all as things progress." So this is a later message where they had changed the way they signed off, or within the message,
Right.
because
Right.
it's no longer politically correct to say certain things. So they understand it. They don't want to
That's
drive anybody
good. That's
away.
good. They're
Right.
evolving just like we
Exactly.
are. Yes.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that that came up, because in this message again, because I wanted to mention that earlier, and talking about how they always give us what we can understand in our vernacular. They do their best to give us words that we can understand.
Yeah.
And we can't always spell them, but we can get it close, and then
That's
spell
it.
check will
That's
come
it.
in.
Yeah.
And because they don't use language. This is their second language or third or whatever. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's energy trying to convert to what we can understand, to sound, to what we can hear. So I guess the vibration. And
Right.
the bottom line is we're all ascending. The best thing you can do is just accept it and say, okay, give me more, give me more. I accept it. I love me. First and
Yes.
foremost, you have to love you. And that's
Yes.
something I learned early on. Someone said to me, you have to be able to look in the mirror and look yourself in the eye and say to yourself 3 times without looking away, I love you, I love you, I love you. And if you look away, you've got to do it again.
Yeah.
And I used to tell this to people. And I said it to a receptionist at the acupuncture place one day. And because she was in a funk, and every time I went in, she was always in a funk. And, she was telling me all her woes. And I said, you have to do that. Try it. Go and look yourself in the mirror. I can't do that. I couldn't. And you'd be surprised how many people say, I can't do that. When you tell them that,
95% of the
I can't
population.
do that.
Yeah.
I went in there a few weeks later, and she was behind the desk all aglow. And I said, what's going on? And she says, I can do it. Feeling so much better, and my relationship with my family is better, children are better, because you have to put yourself first. What we've all learned ever since we were little, going on a plane, what
Yeah.
do they tell you? They teach you when the mask comes down, you've got to put it on yourself first,
Yeah.
because you cannot help anyone else unless you're in the right place to do it.
Fill
So,
yourself up so it overflows to everybody else.
yeah. It's so important. It's so
So
important. And then
important.
once you can do that, then the sky's the limit. It
Oh my
really,
God.
really is.
Oh my goodness.
You
It's
know?
amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking, Jill is asking where you post your messages.
Right now, I post them on Seekers of the Truth on Facebook, Leaders of the Light, which is Dawn Marie Della Hunt's page, um, Long Island Spiritual Individuals. I think a lot of those you might have to ask to join.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the public pages. Let me look at a couple of public pages. The problem was with the ones that are wide. I don't have them. You'll find some on mine. If you do a search, I only put them on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that's the only time I have it. It's, there's like about 80 different ones I try
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
up on. But eventually, my platform, my son's been helping me and setting up all the technology and the microphones and the cameras and get the, do the recordings. So I'm hoping for January to really have the first book completed out of a series. I've been guided to write a series because there's so many different energies and so many different messages. In my own mind, I'm like, well, how do I put a message from Jesus and a message from Ashtar in the same
Right.
book? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or the Galactic Federation and Moses or whoever it is. Like, they've got to kind of fit the same genre. You know what I mean? And so a woman named Connie Viveros, out of
Why is
nowhere.
why though? Why does it have to fit the same genre?
Well, I think that was I was not sure. I'm like, how do I put 200 messages in all different psychic abilities? I don't know the exact
Right.
what she was doing, but she
Yeah.
was she had to do her final paper. So I was the one she got to interview.
The
And it was
guinea
a really
pig.
wonderful experience. Yeah, it was great. It was great. And And then a few months later, she called me because I've been wondering about this. Was during COVID, like a couple of months into COVID. We're all home. I was home for a while, and I'm thinking about this, and I'm getting message after message, and I'm feeling like I really should be writing this book while I'm home, you know. And she just called me out of the blue and said, "Mother," meaning Mother Mary, has a message for me. I'm like, okay, well, how do you not take a call from Mother Mary, right? And she just channeled this message and said, I want you to organize the book in this fashion. And I want you to break it down into small 40 to 60 pages, 6x9 book, like messages from Jesus, messages from Mary, messages from Alcazar, so that it's a series, so that the book that resonates with someone will be the one that they choose first.
Okay.
So I've compiled a lot of stuff. We've got about 800 messages taken out of the journals because I handwrite everything, and proofread and ready to assemble. So as soon as this summer's over and all my summer projects are done, I'm looking forward to some rainy weather. I have to be honest. I'm sorry, everybody, but I need to be able to stay inside
time
for
off.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I need to sit at the desk, and get some of this stuff done. And that's my goal now. And even at one point during this journey, Octavius showed up. And I'm like, who's Octavius? Must be Roman, right? That's all I know about it. And I kept hearing it. And finally I said, okay, Octavius, what do you want to tell me? And he said, well, I'm here to help you write your book. I said, wow, thank you. And I said, well, how do I start? And he gave me the whole beginning of the book. He gave me that. And then the messages, which messages to put. So the bottom line is they're all there to help us. We just have to ask. I said, they came to me and said, the book's already written. You just got to organize it. It's all done. It's already done. You just have to organize it. So that's what I'm, diving back into now. Perfect. So it's all good. I can't wait to share this stuff. There's so much information that applies to so many different things. Even like things that happen within the earth, like events, tsunamis, storm we haven't had one in a while, but earthquakes or volcanoes. And they'll give me messages specific to why the volcano is blowing off. Like the hurricane's coming through and what the hurricane is actually doing, and it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to know that everything is interconnected. There is no separation for any of this. Everything, one is connected to the other, and our consciousness steers so much of it. We think, what we believe, the collective consciousness. If you watch the Weather Channel, whatever weather you watch, and they say, oh, there's a 80% chance of rain today, and everybody walks around saying, oh, there's an 80% chance of rain. You know what? You just made it 100%. Because
it's true. What you put out there is what you're gonna get.
Exactly. So it's so important. A woman said to me today, it's going to be beautiful this weekend. It's going to be beautiful all 3 days. But the news had to say there's a 1% chance of rain.
Right.
And she said, why'd they even have to say that? I mean, I'm like, really? 1%?
So if they wrong, they could get away with it. Right? Well, this happened to us the other day. Mindy and Christine were in the car with me. I was driving, and we were going to see a bunch of goddesses at the beach. And
I saw the pictures.
It just started downpouring while we were driving. And one of them was like, oh my God. And I go, no. And I started singing You Are My Sunshine. So we all started singing You Are My Sunshine. And twice we sang it. And all of a sudden the sun just came out,
It totally I totally agree with you. On Saturday or Sunday, whatever morning, it was supposed to rain last weekend. And I had a lot of work to do outside. I had 2 guys with me. And I said, you know what? I don't care if it rains anywhere else, but just keep it clear over us. And I put that out all day, and I watched the clouds go around us, and we didn't get a drop of rain. We had a beautiful day. We weren't scorched. And I know that because it's happened multiple times now. When you put out what you want. Okay, don't be afraid it's going to rain. Just say, I don't want the rain on me. You know what I mean?
Or just say it's going to be a beautiful day.
Right.
It's
Right,
gonna
right.
be where
We're
I
gonna have a
am.
great time.
It's
Right.
gonna be beautiful. The weather is gonna be
Exactly.
just right. You
Right.
got another question from Jill. Is the voice you receive messages from different each time or the same?
No, it's definitely different. And I think because sometimes, like, I'm able to channel, let's say, Cryon or Alcazar or Adironda, and or there's so many, but those particular ones, and I became familiar with them through other people who have channeled them or have a large body of work. So when I hear it in that same accent or that cadence of thought
Right.
most times. Some of it's very soft spoken. It all depends on who it is. Like when Jesus shows up, you just feel the love. You just want to melt in your chair.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. And then he just, it's like you think he's laying in a pile of hay, chewing on a piece of straw with his feet up, like just talking to you. It's never, he's the ultimate hippie, just hanging out, like, and that's what I see when, when Jesus comes in, and there's no stress, just relax, take a
Yeah.
load off,
Yeah.
we got nowhere to be, there's no work to do,
Right.
everything is right in the world,
I love
and
that.
so it definitely changes with the energy and who comes in. Um, you hear the accents, even with the little ones. I expected to hear that little brogue and that little, but I didn't get that. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
realized later, I said, next time I'm going to ask them to talk like the commercial and see
yeah.
what happens, So, but, and they will. I'm telling you, they'll oblige. They will
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. You asked it because it's all about love and fun, right? And laughter. They want us to laugh. If laughter is the best medicine, then
Oh
we
my
should just be
goodness.
doing it all day long,
All day
you know?
long.
And
I just came back right before we went on from um offering a session to a friend, and um she sent me a thank you, and I sent her a silly, emoji of me with a sunflower around my head playing a guitar, and she just started laughing. And I'm like, that's what you need. You need laughter,
yeah,
we all need it. We all need to just get back to our inner child, and just be free, right?
yes.
So much love. So much love.
Um, so we talk about laughter and love, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize at one point, a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, husband was very sick, and he was in the hospital, and he was waiting for kidney transplant, or maybe had the kidney transplant. No, he was waiting for kidney transplant, and he had all the heart issues and things like that. And every week we would have our gathering, and we would pray for him and pray for him. And
Right.
then she would go and spend the night at the hospital with him, and then the week would go by, and it was going on for 6-7 weeks,
Right.
and it was never. We were always and we pray in our circle, but each week it never seemed like there was an improvement, and it seemed like it was going the opposite direction, And finally one night I said, who is the angel of funny? And everybody looked at me. I said, well, if Michael is for protection, and Uriel does this, and Azrael does that, everybody's got a task, right? Everybody's got assigned
Right. Yeah.
a specialty. Who's the angel of funny? And nobody knew. The next morning I got up, and at that point I was starting to trust kind of what came up on YouTube, like different messages, channel messages and stuff, not my own, but other people's.
Right.
And most of the times I'd read them and they would resonate. Very rarely did I have to say, no, this is not for me. And that morning, a message comes up on the YouTube, and it says, to watch this video, it's a message from Archangel Hilarion, the healer. And right, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Yeah.
When things are funny, they're hilarious. And I'm like, that's the angel of funny. That makes sense. And I started talking about it with different people, and sharing it, and then I ended up finding out that he is part of the Brotherhood and Sisterhood of Man. I hadn't got that deep into the you know, Saint Germain and all his posse.
Right, right.
So this is, I think, the first message I got from Master Hilarion, not
Oh,
Angel
okay,
Hilarion, but
yeah, cool.
Master Hilarion. And
Yeah.
it was in the afternoon. This is at 4 p.m. And it's weird because I put the date at the time because normally they're in the morning. But he says, first, let me take this opportunity to thank you in person for helping to bring the awareness to the cause of healing. Your words and experience of discovery that led you to me is a classic. It will go down in the annals as one of great humor. For you have recognized the utility of my name, for it has escaped many. Your questioning, coupled with your reasoning, have led you to me. I could not be more pleased. As you continue to speak of your experiences with me via other channels and now direct, you have accomplished much. The words you use to spur on others to do their own research and prompting them to look for more, have brought you to a place of great revelation. As you continue to focus on the green light of healing, much is happening within you to repair and restore and create the new human, one that is resilient to most and impervious to many a disease that afflicts and affects humanity. Your constant efforts are raising the vibrations of so many around you. It is as contagious as the plague, and you are the cause. Keep laughing, keep smiling, and know that you are heralded by us as one of great promise. We look forward to many more conversations through pen and paper. Continue to focus on healing, and again, remember, it happens in the same sequence as described throughout much of your writings. Your connection to the ones of small stature is well known. Your infectious smile has caused many within that realm to aspire onto greater feats of self-mastery. That in turn creates more magic within the emerald green forests. You will soon be visited by my team, where they will impart knowledge that will accelerate your ability to heal yourself and others. You have witnessed the results of your thoughts manifest into results, and that is no small feat. You knew you were a healer before anything else. You recognize your innate abilities in such a beautiful way, not hesitating to help a child in need. Be certain of your abilities, know your talents, and continue to apply them with full intent. You use the word miracle often, and it is wise. Humanity needs reminders quite often. Your ability to refresh the memory of those whom own their illness is powerful. Please continue on your path and know that we walk with you hand in hand, always looking for something funny to point out. The energy of humor can never be misqualified. It is as pure as love. If he does not know it yet, he will very soon. Expect the call from Anthony William. Just be you, the genuine article. You are a comedian. Go forth and spread that joy. Love and blessings, Master Hilarion.
I
So
love it.
that touches on a lot of different things, even personal to me.
Yeah.
I carry this green crystal. This is an Andara that I got gifted to me from Wendy Gale, that she got from Mount Shasta, from a friend, and I've carried it.
I have held that. I have held that
Yes,
crystal.
yeah, and it's a little smaller than it was when I first got it because it's taken a few bumps and bruises.
Yeah, yeah.
But I give it to people. They hold it. They're full of energy. You know, all crystals are full of energy. These particular ones that have been gifted to me are just phenomenal. And it's all about green healing. Focus on the green, right? The color of healing,
Yeah.
and invoke Hilarion. Talking about the miracle. Use the word as often as possible, right? What we put out, we create, right? Our reality. So if you need those miracles, keep asking for the miracle, asking for the miracle. Use the word miracle. And there's no limit to how many you can get. It's unlimited.
Yeah.
Okay, so trust it, say it, and like the rule of threes applies. Say the word miracle 3 times, right? Invoke it. Always 3 times. And it's all these little things, these little caveats that we learn throughout these journeys and these different classes that really, all of a sudden, just come together, and then you're like, okay, I got this. I've got this. Talking about the healing of children, that was something that I had experienced in helping a small child. I think maybe it was about 3 or 4 weeks old, and I laid my hands on the baby, and I just knew what was wrong with the child, and I just kind of did what I was instructed, and that was actually that boy. I think he just turned 6, so that was 6 years ago.
Wow.
He just turned 6. And that was even before any of this. That was quite a ways back. That was in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I haven't read this message in a long time, and but I never edit out. And a lot of the messages, there'll be like personal things, but I can't take away from the message. So there's no editing. It is what comes in, is what I share. I'm not trying to toot my horn or it just, that's the way it comes in. It has to flow. There's a reason for all of it, because it applies to everyone. We're no different. All of us have all of the same abilities. It's just a matter of trusting, asking, and letting it happen.
Ask, believe, and receive.
That's right. Ask, believe, and receive.
Well, we've been on for an hour and 20 minutes, love.
Oh boy! I hope there's room on the memory stick.
So is there anything that you want to tell our loves out
right
loud?
Now, yes. Right now, as we all know, the energies are really ramping up as we go toward the equinox, right? And then the full moon is, I believe, 2 days after that, right? We're 21, and then I think the 23rd. And a lot of people are getting unhinged because more and more energy is pouring in from the great central sun. Okay, we're not used to it. The summer was hotter than it's ever been. But the sunlight is brighter. It burns your plants in the garden. I mean, we see the damage. Even if we water stuff, it's turning white. It's just amazing the amount of light that's coming in. We all have to adjust. Gaia is adjusting to it. We do our best to stay neutral, to stay at ease, to turn off the news, turn off. I mean, for me, I don't even listen to the radio.
Yeah, I don't either.
I can't listen to music unless it's something I select.
Yeah.
Because it goes like the words, the vibration. It gets me. I get all itchy. So I have to turn it off. And my wife loves to have the stereo on in the house, and she finally gave up because I would just keep turning it off, and this one on. I leave it on for the dogs. It keeps the dogs calm. Well, I said, well, it's making me crazy. I got to turn it off. So now she does. Like last week, I said to her, "You want some music on?" And it was the first time. She looked at me like there was something wrong with me, and she says, "You never had the music on. I don't even put it on anymore." I said, "Well, you know what? I think tonight would be a nice night to put on some music and just." But I was drawn to that where normally it's like absolutely not.
Well, I do the Spotify. I pay extra, so there is no commercials.
Right. Well, the commercials don't bother me. It's the energy of some of the songs.
Oh yeah.
As you move down this road or stay on this track that we're all on, you'll start to recognize the songs that have a higher perspective, a higher meaning. All music is channeled. All music, all art is channeled.
Single one of it,
It all comes in from the other side of the veil.
Yeah.
So it's about finding those songs, and all of a sudden you have a wake-up call when you listen to those songs. The first big wake-up call was the fifth dimension, and if you listen to the words of the age of Aquarius, now as an adult, instead of when we were kids and hair and all that, they were letting us know 50 years in advance. In 1969, they were letting us know that by 2012, we were transitioning. We were leaving the Piscean age, and entering the age of Aquarius. We had made it.
Woo,
so the alignments, and then and it just on. And every so often a song will come up, and I'll jump on somebody's page and I'll say, listen to this song today. It makes total sense today, or It's all fun. Make it fun. If you're not
Yeah.
having fun, ask for it to be funny. Ask for your
Yes.
guidance. You know, my higher self, I have Osiris and Lakshmi, and a whole bunch, but my buddy is Selfie. That's my higher self.
Yeah.
And I've called it, I've named it Selfie. And that's how it's signed off. SELPHIE.
Yeah.
And that's when I have personal questions about my job or my family or how, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those, you'll very rarely see a Selfie message put out there. But we all have a higher self. Even if you don't know, I didn't know the name of my higher self. That's
I'm
why it's
sunshine.
Selfie. There you go. So ask for your own personal selfie and see what you hear. Just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
Everybody has the guides. Everybody has them.
Everybody, every single person.
Yeah,
And
it's all
love
beautiful.
yourself. Love yourself.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And
Absolutely.
expect only good things.
Yes.
Expect what you expect. You create your reality with your thoughts, your words, and your emotions.
Yeah.
Your word is your wand. So put out what you want, never what you don't want. See
Yeah.
yourself. You want to see that brand new Cadillac and whatever it is in the driveway, see yourself in the car, in the driveway, in the picture. See yourself going for the 10,000-mile oil change.
Yeah.
Act as right, fake it till
Yeah.
you make it.
Yeah.
That term that to me, I used to hear that and I'm like, no, I'm not that type of person. But now I understand that you can apply it from a spiritual perspective.
Imagine
And
it.
it
That's it.
and
Imagine it.
yes, that
Yeah.
imagination. They used to tell me when I wanted certain things, put yourself in the vignette, put yourself in the picture, see yourself on that piece of equipment or whatever it is you want to buy, see yourself on it,
Right.
you know, and that helps to manifest it, you know,
And
just like the
speak
small
it.
things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speak it out to the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
I am a
Yeah.
happy, healthy, wealthy, right, woman. I'm a
Be
happy.
specific though. You got to be specific. You got to be
Yeah.
specific when you ask for abundance, people, because you can end
Yeah.
up with an abundance of weeds. And I've had that. And I even have messages that say, even you got an abundance, because I'm like, oh man, it's Saturday and I can't sit here for 3 hours and write messages. I got to go outside and cut the grass. And I don't know who came in this summer. Maybe it was Laxmi and said,
It's
yes,
so
you have
funny.
an abundance of weeds. You got to be careful what you ask for. I know we got to go, but it's like that Geico commercial where the guy finds the lamp and he rubs the lamp and the genie appears and the genie says, I'm here to grant you one wish. And the guy says, I want $1 million. And he looks out the window and his whole yard is full of deer. Okay. He wasn't specific. He wasn't specific. So you
That's
have to
funny.
be specific in what you want.
Yes.
Otherwise, you
Yes.
could potentially draw in what you don't want, especially if you're thinking about what you don't want.
Right.
Then you're only putting that energy into motion.
Only
So
think what you do want. Yes.
that's right. That's right. And watch your words. Your word is your wand. And you walk around saying, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. The universe is going to give you whatever you put the I am in front
Exactly.
of
Exactly.
every single time. So even if you are exhausted beyond belief, say, I feel great. I am wonderful.
I am
The
energized.
The body needs rest. You can separate yourself from your body. You're a
Right.
soul with a body, not a body with a soul. So you
Right.
can extract yourself just like you do when you're asleep and you're astral traveling and you're dreaming. The body's in the bed, the soul is out there. So learn to separate the two.
Yeah.
The issue is of the body, is of the body. It's not of the soul. It's not of the spirit. And that will actually help you to facilitate the healing that is needed, because when you stop owning it, you can then address it.
I
So
love
it's so
it.
important.
I love it.
So important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me talk so long.
Anytime. Anytime.
I love to do it again. I love to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. We
All
should.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
thank you.
So I'm going to put you in the back room for a second and say
Okay.
goodnight. All right.
How many people were in our group tonight?
A lot. You got a lot of
Really?
messages. Yeah. You got a lot.
Okay.
Saying a lot of thank you. Great show.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll
We're
be
all
right
in this
back.
together.
Yes. All right, loves. Oh my goodness. He is amazing. I'm so glad he got on. Reach out to him if you want to have any messages, receive any messages. Thank you all for coming and listening and participating. You know, I love you all. May we all be happy, healthy, wealthy, and free.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. Feel the right in the world of that for sure. Na 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 na. Got to get that feeling.